I'm going to change gears and connect with Yasir Rawjee, Managing Director and CEO with Glenmark Lifesciences. Yasir, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Throw more light on the numbers. Sales were up 5% year on year after a 15% growth in Q2. Could you walk us through the numbers, why that happened?
Okay, yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me on the channel. Basically, if you recall, we did a lot of COVID work last year. And we've had a base effect. Last year, we had pretty big COVID sales, COVID drug sales. This was favipiravir. And so largely that has impacted us. But then there are other reasons as well. I mean, there's a bit of a softer demand coming on our cardiovascular franchise, mainly the sartan drugs. And that has resulted in, this lesser growth in Q3.
Could we see some COVID write-off also? A lot of pharma companies just think, look, first we made money out of COVID, but we ended up creating excess inventory. That inventory is not going to be sold. As a result, we are doing write-downs. Could that also happen with Glenmark?
No, we don't have that situation, right? Because our customers, I mean, we were able to sell all our product to our customers. There may be some marginal quantities left, but it's not going to have any impact. The COVID-related inventory is going to have no impact on us.
Now that hospitals have started, planned procedures are people are going ahead with planned procedure. The fact that hospital consumption will change, how will that change your demand, your business? You mentioned the cardio sales, for example, they were down. Was there a specific reason? How much of the external specific factors which were there last year because of COVID, they will normalize now for you?
Okay, so most of our APIs go into oral solid drugs. Okay, so and we are in the chronic sector here. Okay, so our drugs have a very, very stable demand. It was the case last year, right, with our chronic portfolio, as well as it continues this year. There's only one, like I said, in the cardiovascular segment, the sartans class, right, where there is a softening demand from the US market, particularly on account of some of our customers who are going slow in that segment. But otherwise, we've had a pretty robust demand in the rest of the APIs that we sell.
And APIs, of course, are 90% of your business. Mr. Rawjee, I'm going to talk more about this simply because, the pharmaceutical companies have been in focus in the markets for different kind of reasons, whether, it's the COVID effect, which may have worn off, the action that we started to see as far as US FDA goes. So as far as the API business goes, which is 90% of your business and has been flattish for the quarter under review, what kind of guidance can you provide us?
So like I said, right, there was a base effect, right? And if you take away the base effect of the COVID drugs, right, then, we were growing at almost 10% on the generic side. And the CDMO has done very well, right, this quarter. So we had 45% growth over last year in the CDMO sector. That's around 8% of our overall revenue. That, I believe, will continue on the CDMO side, though. Basically, these drugs that we are selling in the CDMO space depend on patient-doctor interaction. And again, with COVID sort of rearing its head with Omicron, in North America and parts of Europe, I'm not sure how that will pan out. But overall, our demand on our generic portfolio has been stable, I would say, fairly good. Right, so I expect growth to continue, right, and our full year growth should be, anywhere from 13 to 15%. So we should come through okay on the growth. On the margin side, because of certain pressures related to solvents and energy cost and some raw materials, we expect that there will be a bit of a dip on the margin. So we were clocking 30-31% every quarter, and we closed last year with 31+%. So this year, in the second half, we expect to see a little bit of margin pressure, not very significant, but it will be there. I mean, 2.5% is what we are likely to see.
Okay, so 2.5% impact on margins you're likely to see. And is this going to be without price hikes?
Okay, so the way how we work with price rise is that we don't pass on, to all customers, because they are facing bigger problems than us in the front end market. Most of our customers are having a lot of challenges in the front end market, be it the US, be it other markets. So rather than sort of take a broad brush approach, we are working with customers closely, and ensuring that they do not lose their competitive edge, and at the same time we do not get hurt badly. So it's a balance, and we've been successful with a few customers on a few APIs, which has helped us, right? On other APIs where our customers are having pressure at the on their side, we have been fortunate to introduce second and third generation processes, which are better cost, and therefore we've been able to mitigate a big chunk of that price increase. And rather than pass that on to the customer, we managed it on our own. And all this put together is helping us to keep things going at a very steady clip, and as well as because the customer confidence then is very high on us. I mean, we become, a very reliable supplier. We've been a very reliable supplier. We've had very good relationships with many top generic companies, and that continues. And this is part of that journey. So while things will settle down, right, we need to make sure that we keep the flock together.
Fair enough. And let's talk about your utilization levels this year. About when it comes to brownfield, are you planning to add more capacities in the next quarter, and how do you plan to fund the additional capex?
Okay, so see, we had the IPO, right, and we raised capital, and for Dahej, our Dahej brownfield expansion, we had allocated around 150 crore. So that is going very well. Okay, we had a bit of a COVID-related slowdown, because we had almost 500 people on the site working on the project, and it was going very well. But because in the last 2 months we've had a slowdown because of COVID, that slowed down a little bit, but it's not going to impact us greatly. Maybe a couple of months out on the brownfield in Dahej. That will essentially double our capacity. So we are at 140 kiloliters in Dahej, which eventually we'll add an extra 240 kiloliters by middle of next year. That's going exceedingly well, and that was funded by the IPO. We will continue that. In addition, we've got 2 more large projects. The second one is also a brownfield expansion at Ankleshwar, which is our largest site, and this is driven by backward integration. So because of these challenges on supplies as well as cost increases, we have decided to backward integrate about 20 to 25 of our top APIs in the next 2 to 3 years. And that work then requires that we expand capacities hugely. And fortunately for us, Ankleshwar is an inspected site and still has a lot of room for expansion. And we are building feverishly in Ankleshwar. As far as that funding goes, we are generating about 450-500 crores of free cash. So that should comfortably take care of the Ankleshwar expansion. And we also have a greenfield expansion coming up in a greenfield site coming up in Sholapur in an industrial development zone in Maharashtra. And that together will take care of our future needs. So 2 brownfield expansions and 1 greenfield expansion.